Like the last group, we determined right up and early on that we had to do additional cuts, and we chose 10% as our starting point. And the reason that we did that, and it resurfaced throughout our many hours of conversation, is that we believe that for a lot of reasons, political, reasons having to do with Alaskans' willingness to come to the table, with businesses' willingness to come to the table, but also with the realities of our situation and our partnership, if we want to call it that, with the legislature, that we have to be very, very serious about signaling that we're not, that we are expecting reductions and that we are taking them on. So 10% additional reductions. We also made an assumption that we needed to have a functional capital budget. So early on, we set that at $150 million. We later increased it to $300 million. So those are two pretty important assumptions that stayed with us throughout the course of our conversation. I'm not going to get into all of the exact details of all of the little numbers that we turned on the dial. Know that we did experiment with industry taxes like fishing and mining taxes. We put an income tax on the board. We put a sales tax, a statewide sales tax on the board. Healthcare taxes. We talked about the risks and benefits associated with things like arbitrage for PERS and TERS. They were great conversations. A lot of values conversations, a lot of really interesting stuff came up. In the end, we must work with our permanent fund as an asset. And I think that in the end of our conversation, one of our participants really wrapped it up well, which is that we're not talking about the shortcomings that we have as a state. The frame for this is the assets that we have as a state as we navigate this difficult time, and the permanent fund is a very, very significant one. So for us, that meant permanent fund and an endowment model. We did a 70-30 split. There's certainly other splits, but 70 to government, 30% to dividends. We think that that message is a really important responsibility that all of us need to carry out of here. Beyond that, we are concerned about leveraging some of our assets through the arbitrage, also through the borrowing against the permanent fund, essentially playing the market, because they are our assets. They're the core of what has the potential to make us strong or not. And we don't want to put them at risk, even though we recognize that as financial tools, they could bring us some immediate benefit. They could also really cause some devastating consequences. I think most importantly, all of us are going to walk out of the space with 30 people that we had really valuable, respectful, engaged conversations with from very different sides of the table, literally, figuratively, and otherwise. And we all feel that we have an important voice in carrying this message forward. So I look forward to the part of the day where we're charged, as I believe that we will be, with doing something on behalf of the state and behalf of this administration. But I think in all, our group feels that we had a very valuable conversation this morning. And thank you, Dennis.